Hi guys, Ali Taylor here, and this year in 2020, the golf ball that changed the way golf balls are made is 20 years old. So happy birthday to the Titleist Pro V1. So for 20 years, Titleist have made the Pro V1 golf ball. I currently play the Pro V1x. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about how this golf ball changed the way golf balls were made. Then I'm going to compare it with my current Pro V1x and see just how much in 20 years the Pro V1 has changed. Has it changed for the better? Has it changed for the worse? Or has it really just stayed the same? So before 2000, if you wanted to play a premium golf ball with the most control, you would play something like a Turbolator from Titleist, the Professional 90, which was generally speaking a liquid center with rubber bands wound around the outside with a different cover. Then though in 2000, Titleist introduced a solid core golf ball. Now what did this mean? It meant that for golfers like me growing up as a kid, I used to love playing the Titleist Ballata. The amount of spin that it gave me on wedge shots, pitch shots, felt great for chipping and putting, but definitely felt it cost me distance off the tee. So in a perfect world, which you couldn't do, you would have hit something very hard, like a Pinnacle or a Wilson Ultra off the tee, that would have got you that maximum distance from the tee, and then you might have changed to the Turbolator with your iron shots and your wedge shots to finish off. So in an ideal world, you'd have been able to play maybe two different types of golf ball. And that's what this golf ball kind of made it. It made it that you got the distance from the tee that the distance ball got you. Obviously, it wasn't really about kind of launch monitors and things back there. So a little bit of it was kind of emotional and seeing where the ball goes on the course, not knowing whether it's had a hard bounce or pitched on a downslope. But the solid core idea gave you the ability to transfer more speed from club to ball. And we see that with launch monitors now. But that was a real big change for golf balls. And I think there was something like 50 Titleist players put it straight in the bag for the first tournament, which was unheard of with a brand new golf ball. So like I said, we're going to test 2000's version against 2020's version. I'm going to hit driver, full shots with 7-iron, and then half shots with my 56 degree. Now, key being for me that I'm not necessarily expecting a huge difference for driver and 7-iron. It'll be interesting to see how much difference there is. But the reason I play the Pro V1x is that little bit more spin on my pitch shots. Feel-wise, it'll be interesting as well to see how these are different. I know the V1x is generally just a slightly firmer feeling ball. And it'd be interesting to see if that feels as firm or whether it's a bit softer. And as a result of that, maybe what the spin's like with certainly the wedge shots, if nothing else. So for now, let's get on with the test. Right, so I think we'll start with driver. Everybody loves the big dog. So I've got my Titleist TS3, 8 degree, only been in the bag for a couple of weeks. Gonna hit some shots, just kind of as normal in here. Then I'm gonna switch over onto the Pro V1 from 2000. Then gonna do the same with 7-iron, then the half swings with my sand wedge. Okay, so how much has this ball changed in 20 years? Right, so nothing that I didn't expect there. I'm obviously back in the home studio, and I always find first few days in here, I don't know, I just never feel I can kind of really get my club head speed going in the first couple of days. But it is going to be the same for both golf balls. So let's switch over now from Pro V1x into the V1 from 2000. So like I said, this was the golf ball that kind of changed it for all the golf balls for me. And I remember when this came out, The hype around it was incredible, and I couldn't wait to get this golf ball in my bag. So I remember when I played this ball, and obviously it was a long time ago, so I might not be 100% on this, but there was always the rumour that when you looked at the Pro V1, it was almost like within the dimple pattern, you could see like a little seam that ran around the golf ball. So there was a massive rumour that if you could line that seam up properly as to where you were going, it would get you an extra 10, 20 yards off the tee. Now, obviously pre-launch monitor. So I've lined the seam up, or what looks like the seam on there. Let's just see if I get any extra out of this. Absolutely nothing. So let's look at those numbers for Pro V1x with driver against Pro V1 from 2000. Let's see how much it's improved in 20 years. Right then guys, so when we look at the numbers with driver, we could see the Pro V1 from 2000. My club head speed just under 104 mile an hour, ball speed 154, so pretty decent. Spin rate of 2,258, so fairly low spin, carry 240 and 274 total. When you compare that to the Pro V1x, 104.6 club head speed, 154 ball, spin at just over 2,000, carry at 239.9 and 277 the difference. So to be fair, with driver there, absolutely nothing in that. And I can't say I'm massively surprised. I am going to cut these both open later and just see the construction of the golf ball. But I'm not necessarily convinced there's going to be a huge difference in construction. Now, it was interesting because I did mention when I was hitting driver there, it was very noticeable when the V1 came out that there was almost a little seam that ran around the ball. And, you know, everybody was about, if you line the seam up, the ball goes further. I think we could see with the shot I hit there, it didn't make any difference. And kind of quite interesting that as a kid, you know, I thought it probably was picking me up 10, 20 yards extra. Shows how naive you can be when enough people say something that you believe it. So let's move from driver, where we didn't really see any difference, into the 7-irons. Right then, so I don't know whether I was a little bit disappointed there. I was kind of hoping that, you know, all this rage about rolling the golf ball back 10, 15 years had changed golf. I do appreciate the guys with the quicker club head speed might see a little bit more of a difference. But for me, if you roll the ball back 20 years and you don't really change the tech, it's not going to make a massive difference. So 7-iron. Let's go Pro V1x. So my current ball with my TaylorMade P7 MB 7-iron. It's a blade, so not expecting super quick or any long distances. This is more about control. Right, so we'll switch on to the ball from 2000. I mean, we're going to look at numbers in a bit, but they didn't look like they were doing anything other than what I expected. Maybe just a little bit lower on spin, but okay. Ball from 2000. So again, just visually, I didn't look a lot in that, but let's look at those numbers and see how the 7-iron stacks up with the two golf balls. So we look at Pro V1 from 2000, 85 mile an hour club speed, ball speed 113, backspin 6,100, which again, pretty healthy, maybe a little lower than I was expecting. Carry at 157, total at 165. So we see with the Pro V1x, club speed exactly the same at 85, ball speed 112, so actually just slightly back. Spin at 6.1, so again a little bit lower than I was expecting with that one, but very similar, and carry at 155.6 and total at 163. So again, not really anything in that, is there? You know, and maybe that's a couple of millimeters a strike, but so far, surprised in 20 years worth of design that maybe not seeing a bit more of a difference. Now, let's move into the wedge shots and look at those and just see if I get more spin with the V1x. Right, so far, not a lot in it really, is there, between the two golf balls? So that moves me on to my kind of partial shots, which is where, for me personally, I want to see a lot of backspin so that the ball's stopping as close to where I land the ball as possible. Now for this, I'm going to use my Vokey SM8. Look at it, it's gorgeous, isn't it? Black, bit of custom stamping in there. You regular viewers will love my little stamping on the back, no doubt. So when you look at the two golf balls though, I mean, I haven't seen any performance difference so far. Now what I would say in 2000, that was there was just the V1. Obviously now there's AVX, V1 and V1x. The reason I use V1x is on these shots I do get a little bit more spin. Now feel-wise, let's do the very scientific way of testing it. So I think that golf ball feels very, very soft on the face. Whereas with my ball, definitely just a little bit more clicky and a little bit firmer. Now I know that's Pro V1x is the slightly firmer feeling golf ball, but it'll be interesting to see, does soft mean more spin? If you've seen any of my other videos, you may already know the answer to that one. So let's go some half swings with my V1x and let's look at the performance of my current ball. So again, for me there, I love that kind of lots and lots of spin. It'd be interesting to look at the average numbers. I'd be hoping for around about 8,000 as my average. Okay, so let's move on to the older golf ball. Right, so if this one spins as much, maybe I need to be finding lots and lots of these golf balls from 2000. Okay, so right, so the numbers just looked a little bit lower there, but interestingly, when you look at the face of the club, you know, it's really left a lot of marks and kind of looks like, obviously, ruining the cover a lot on the Pro V compared to the Pro V1x. So there's quite a lot of marks there on the club for those 10 shots. Right then, so let's look across at the numbers with the sand wedges, kind of looking to carry that around 60 yards. So I think I was pretty decent. And let's see, I think this is where we might see the modern ball coming out a bit more on top. Right then guys, so when we look at the numbers, with the V1 from 2000, we saw an average carry just under 60 yards with 6,000, almost 6,900 spin and rolling out to 66.4. Now when you switch across to the 2020 ball, we see just a couple of yards shorter at 57.4, but 7,800 spin. So just before anyone comments below on the spin number, just looking a little different there. There was one shot where it was a bit more predictive on spin, so that's why that looks a little bit different. But as a general rule, you could see on the shots I was hitting, I was getting very close to 8,000 spin on there. Right, and so the partial wedge shots, I did see a big difference. So kind of 15-20% more spin. Now, interestingly, that's why I actually play Pro V1x, is I do get more spin with the X than I get with AVX or Pro V1. So maybe the V1 would have been a better test against that, but that's my current ball against the ball that's 20 years old. But all in all, actually very, very similar. Right then, so performance-wise, you could see kind of driver and 7-iron, not a lot in it. Partial wedge shots definitely saw more out the V1x. Like I said, that was kind of expected, and that's the reason I play that ball. So, for any of you people that love seeing golf balls getting chopped up, let's look at the difference in the design of the golf balls over the 20 years. So we'll chop my current ball up. Not quite going in the middle, to be fair, but... Okay. You can see there. That's the inside of the Pro V1x golf ball. Right, so that's Pro V1x. Now, I don't really want to chop this one up because I was maybe going to do another couple of videos, but let's go for it. Hopefully, I can get my hands on something that maybe is a little less battered after all those shots, particularly the wedge shots. So let's chop the old golf ball up and see what that looks like. And we can see there, it's the old ball. So that one's looking very like the Pro V1, I think, on the inside. But I think very, very different from the Pro V1x. And this is, for me, where the design of the golf balls, you know, really getting dialed in now to different players. But very, very different inside my current ball to the 20-year-old ball. Performance-wise, not as big a difference as I thought there might be. And that doesn't surprise me. When I test driver and 7-iron, I see very similar with the golf balls that are in similar categories. It's definitely when you get into those kind of partial shots where I think you start to see more of a difference. And that's where, if you are somebody who really wants to get the best ball possible, get along, get fitted and find what's best for you. But like I said at the start of the video, you know, happy birthday to the Pro V1. Is that still a great ball? Absolutely. Is the new ball better? Yes, for me, and I use the right one for me. So guys, hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, like it and share it, comment below and I'll get back to as many people as I can. If you have enjoyed today's content and you don't currently subscribe, please consider clicking that button below. Remember to ring that notification bell, then you find out whenever I drop a new video. Follow me on all the social media platforms, all under Ali Taylor Golf. Hopefully catch up with some of you guys down here soon. Stay in contact.